Hey everyone. I had an epiphany a few days ago that I wanted to share and see what you think. And it kind of gets to the core of why I started a nonprofit and why I'm really pushing this message of unity and diversity. So, the realization I had is that the core reason that suffering and pain and conflict in the world exists seems to be this fundamental flaw in human nature, where we have this aversion to anything that is different from us. We want to be around people and things that are familiar to us and similar to us and resonate with us and make us feel safe. And that explains the stickiness of certain brands like Starbucks across the world. As soon as I see a Starbucks in a foreign country, I feel myself relax a little bit, and I hate it because the problem is that Starbucks is really boring in a new country. And so, always being with things we're familiar with is boring. It's comfortable, but there's no growth or discovery there. And we want to be around people who agree with us so that we can feel we're always right. But in that, we're also limiting ourselves of knowing so many other perspectives that exist in the world, so many other ways of being. We're limiting how much we really experience all of life. Do you think you're diverse and inclusive? You're probably not. You probably like to be around people who act like you, think like you, even look like you. It's easier and it's comfortable. You probably don't like to be around a Trump supporter if you're a Democrat. You think you already know this person is ignorant, uneducated, bigoted, racist, sexist. And the stronger your own view is, the more you avoid the people who oppose it. But what if we could approach people different from us in a different way? What if we were just curious about them rather than judging them? What if we really just want to ask them questions to figure out how and why they became the way they are? I'm reminded of this time I was traveling in Delhi in a taxi. I had just landed in Delhi airport and I'd called a taxi to take me to my hotel. And my taxi driver was a man. He was Muslim. And I started talking to him about life, asking if he's married, does he have his family? He said, yeah, he's married. I asked, what does his wife do? And he said, oh, my wife is wonderful, and she just stays at home all day like women should, and she works and does housework. And for someone like me, it's a real shock to hear that. To hear that women belong in the house doing housework, and that's what makes them good. So I was just really intrigued, and I kept asking more questions, like why do you believe that's a woman's role, and what if she wants to do something different? And he explained that this is the way that he was brought up. This is what his religion says. It's part of the culture, and his wife seems very happy with the way her life is, and that he sees it as women are really there to nurture and support men, and they shouldn't really go outside, and they shouldn't allow themselves to be seen in public without their husbands. And so we had a long exchange on this, and it was really just intriguing for me. I couldn't imagine talking to somebody who feels so differently about women than anybody I know. And the thing was that I think this is what I love most about myself, the fact that I didn't really get scared or pull away from the conversation or get turned off. That I respect a person and want to know about him, even if his view on something sounds completely ridiculous to me. There's this belief that I have, this thing that I want to believe, that there is kind of this invisible thread that binds all of us as humans, and it really goes beneath anyone's culture, color, or beliefs, or values, or the way they act, or anything else. And it's something that's just binds us regardless of all of those things, and that seems to be our humanity. And that seems to be how we kind of discover more about ourselves as humans, through discovering other people and meeting people who are different from us, especially. So I'm not saying that, our whole lives should be devoted to meeting and talking to people who trigger us, because that is uncomfortable. But I think it is important to balance our comfort with our exploration of something new, with giving things a chance that we normally wouldn't. And so my challenge for you is, if you can think of a person who seems like the exact opposite of you, someone you really can't stand, you don't like to be around, and if you can just imagine that that person has the same feelings as you, has been through the same amount of pain and suffering and disappointment, and he or she wants the same things, the same underlying needs of love, security, safety, growth. And see if you can develop some compassion in your heart for that person, and even try to initiate a conversation with him or her where you just are curious. You ask them questions. Ask them why they feel a certain way, why they behave a certain way, without any judgment. And just see what happens. It's all an exploration. This experience of being human is just a lab. It's an experiment. And it's up to us to play with it and see how far it makes us grow. Thanks for listening.